going to his website, which is DallasElderLawyer.com. That's DallasElderLawyer.com to sign up for that free estate planning essentials workshop. Or you can also call him by dialing 214-720-0102. That's 214-720-0102. A talk show host on 770 KAAM since 2013, Michael Cohen is the person you want to evaluate and complete what could currently be a deficient estate plan. Make sure it's done your way and sign up for his next workshop today.
The views expressed on the preceding program were those of the speakers and not necessarily those of KAAM, DJRD Broadcasting, or its sponsors.
You want to know the meaning of everything? It is Jesus only. You may think that's an overstatement. We live in a universe. We live in a great big world. Billions of light years. Why? Scientists are trying to figure out the reason for creation. You want to know what it is? Jesus only. For by him and through him and to him are all things. There's nothing made that was not made by the Lord Jesus. The answer to creation is Jesus only. People say the world needs saving, the world needs redemption. Where is redemption going to come from? From Buddha? From Mohammed? Confucius? Mary Baker, Glover, Patterson, Eddy? Where is redemption going to come from? Jesus only. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there's none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. Not some creed, not some code, not some cause, but Jesus only.
Profound truth, simply stated. Waiting for you now at profoundtruth.org.
Dr. Charles Stanley. If you have developed patience in your life, there is a sense of quiet stability. Why? Because you've learned to realize that God is in control of your life, and he said he causes all things to work together for good to those who love him, to those who are called according to his purpose.
The teaching of Dr. Charles Stanley on In Touch, helping you grow in Christ every day.
Weekday mornings at 11:30 a.m. on 770 KAAM.
Dr. Michael Youssef with a closer look at the prodigal son.
When this boy left home, he said, "Give me." Oh, but when he came to his senses, he said, "Make me." When he left home, he called it pleasure-seeking. But when he came to his senses, he called it sin. He called it for what it is.
Learn more this week on Leading the Way.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. on 770 KAAM.
The following program contains views and opinions which are not necessarily those of KAAM, DJRD Broadcasting, or its sponsors.
With Dr. Lewis Coates. My name is Scott Watley, and we want to thank you for being with us. Hey, we've got our Better Health text line. If you have a question for Dr. Coates, you may get a question, topic, whatever you'd like for us to cover. All you have to do is send me a text to 720-201-8585. Again, 720-201-8585. And we'll get your question in to Dr. Coates. But the show is brought to you by the Family Medical Practice of Dr. Coates, which is located at 5915 Murphy Road there in Saxe. His number is 972-496-6937. And with that, we'll welcome Dr. Coates. Doc, how are you this morning? Or afternoon, I should say.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you and I were talking recently about allergies there in Texas, and of course, I grew up there, so I can remember going through all that when I lived there. So here in Colorado, it doesn't affect me near as much as it used to, but this is a big deal there, and I even got some alerts yesterday, I think it was, for Garland, allergy alerts and all that. So it's a big deal down there this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, this is allergy season just now starting, but Texas is part of the allergy belt, which is northern Texas into central Texas, southern Oklahoma, parts of Louisiana, Arkansas. It's just really, really bad in these parts. We have extremely dry climate for most of the year, and we have everything. We have, trees, grasses, weeds, molds, you name it. We got allergies in spring, summer, winter and fall. So it's just a terrible time with all the allergies that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when depending on when somebody gets sick, you can kind of determine what they're allergic to.
Oh, wow.
So when people come in the fall, that's predominantly ragweed. So if they come in and say, hey, I get sick every fall, I start my eyes water, itch, burn, and I start sneezing every fall, usually September, October, then you know they have a ragweed allergy. And so that's how we do things to determine it.
Right. You know, you mentioned mold, and that's something we don't talk a lot about. You may, but that's something just in normal conversation. When we think about allergies, you don't think about mold a lot. What do you see there with just in that category?
Yeah, mold is particularly bad in the summer. When we do get rain in Texas, it's hot and humid, and unfortunately that promotes mold growth. You know, we grow mold in hot, humid environments, and we have a lot of that in the summer and early fall season in Texas, and particularly late summer, early fall. We get a lot more rain at that time, typically, and we get a lot of mold growth. So, you know, mold, if you have something that's wet and it's out there, you know, in a hot, humid environment, that tends to promote the growth of mold.
Right.
And mold spores is what causes problems. Spores float out in the air, and you inhale those spores in, and our immune system knows that, hey, mold's not supposed to be in your body, and it starts attacking it.
Wow. Yeah, and I was looking at a few things there before the show, and it said Dallas was number 2 on the Allergy and Asthma Foundation of America's most recent allergy and capital study. So that's pretty rampant there then, being number 2.
Yeah, we're definitely very, very prominent. There's allergists all over the city. That's a good sign that, you know, there's a lot of allergies here. When people graduate med school and go into allergy immunology as their specialty, a lot of them do that with the presumption that they're going to live in this Texas environment.
Right. Now, I assume most people, you know, depending on what age, of course, that they come in and you guys figure things out, and then you kind of know for the next few years. But when should people come see a doctor? Let's start there.
Yeah, any allergies that, you know, you're struggling with for more than a few days, you know, consistently, then it's time to come in and let's get some advice on how to attack these allergies. And fortunately, most of the allergy meds are over the counter now, which is good and bad. It's good, and you don't have to see the doctor to get them. You can pick them up whenever. It's bad in the fact that now insurance usually doesn't pay for it. And so it creates kind of a financial burden sometimes for people, because they're like, whoa, you know, I used to get this for a $5 copay, or I didn't have to pay. Now I'm having to pay, you know, $25 for this over-the-counter medicine. That's the downside of when medicine goes over the counter, is usually insurance tends not to pay anymore.
Right. Actually, an alert just hit my phone, because I do keep on there over weather in Garland, and it just hit my phone, a pollen alert in Garland, very heavy today. So does it always start with the typical things we think of, sneezing, watery eyes, that type of deal? Does it always start there, or not necessarily?
No, but that's the most common symptoms. A lot of people get itchy ears where it feels like they can't, they want to scratch inside their ear. And I just saw a guy yesterday has a big cut in his ear, and he said, because it felt like it was itchy in there, and his fingernail cut in there.
Nope.
But a lot of people will try to make sounds. I do that myself. You kind of snort, and it vibrates that ear, and it feels good, like it's scratching it. So it's that's a common symptom. The itchy, watery, burning eyes, sneezing, congestion, coughing, all those things are very common with allergies. Now, hoarseness, eventually, if they continue to get allergies, you'll get hoarse. So a lot of times you may have trouble speaking, and that can be allergy related.
Okay. Once again, you're listening to Better Health with Dr. Lewis Coates. Do you see this just all across the board in all ages, or is there kind of an age sector that seems to come in a lot for this during this time of year?
No, allergies can affect anyone at any age. So, just because you're older, people think, oh, I outgrew my allergies, and that's absolutely not true. You can still have allergies as you get older. Now, sometimes they'll start to weaken as we get older because our immune system starts to get less effective, and so the allergies become less prominent as we get into our upper ages, but usually they stick around.
So now, you mentioned buying things over the counter, good and bad. Could one thing be kind of bad, that maybe somebody takes something and it maybe gives them some temporary relief, but they still don't really know what they're allergic to, but they're just taking these temporary meds a little bit? Could that be something that's maybe not good for them, not to know what they're allergic to?
Well, for the most part, it's not as important, as long as the medicine is working.
Okay.
If the medicine's not working, then we need to get off all these meds and get in and get allergy tested. And in order to do allergy testing, we have to come into the office. We make sure that you haven't taken any allergy meds for at least 5 days prior. Because if you're on an antihistamine, then it's going to blunt the response of these allergies, and we're not going to be able to tell what you're really allergic to. So a lot of patients will ignore that warning as we tell them, like, I'm not going 5 days sitting here sneezing and stuffy nose all the time. They wait to the day of and don't take it, but there's still enough antihistamine in their system that it blocks that response, and therefore we don't get a good test on them. So in order to really know what you're allergic to, we have to have you cleared free of all antihistamines for at least 5 days prior. Then we come in and we have these little packs where it sticks you with approximately 7 to 10 different allergens at one time, and then we measure the circles and see how much growth did we get, and then that gives us an idea as to where your allergies are. Are you allergic to mold? Are you allergic to trees? Are you allergic to grasses? Are you allergic to pollen? All these things will be determined, dust mites, from the what we get on those responses. Now, if we want to get more specific on certain ones, we do what we call intradermals, and that's where if we're seeing a lot of grasses pop up, we get specific grasses and inject those individually and measure those counts so we can get a more specific idea of which grasses you are allergic to.
Right. And I mean, I've never seen anything that can make us so miserable. We can be fine, and then all of a sudden, maybe you start sneezing, your eyes start watering, and man, in a matter of a couple minutes, you can be totally miserable with allergies.
Yeah, it can be very fast, and a lot of people get sneezing fits where they'll sneeze 15, 20, 25 times in a row, and they can't stop on their own. I personally have that happen quite frequently with allergies, unfortunately, and it's very annoying. You start sneezing, you just can't stop. And it's annoying and it's embarrassing if you're out in public and you have to go outside of the restaurant or whatever because you can't stop sneezing.
When you look at some of these nasal sprays, inhalers, different things, walk us through maybe some of these things. And are they always a good idea to try, or should they come in and see you first?
Well, nasal steroids are the best proven treatment for allergies. So you have a bunch of different ones. Fluticasone, which was Flonase, and then you have Nasonex, Nasacort. These things are very, very effective at treating allergies. They're not addictive, and over the longer you use them, the more effective they become. So nasal steroids are very effective, and a lot of people don't want to put things in their nose. I don't understand it, but I've battled this forever. They like taking the pills. Allegra, Zyrtec, Xyzal, Claritin. These are common allergy antihistamines that are in pill form, and people prefer the pill. When the pill's not working on its own, then it's time to step it up and get a nasal steroid. Now, in addition to steroids, we have nasal antihistamines, and they're topical antihistamines. Aspirin is a very common one. It's over the counter now too. For a long time it wasn't, but now it has joined the over-the-counter group, and you can use that in combination with the nasal steroid, and that's extremely effective combination. I've been doing that for 20-some years with patients, and it works very, very well. You know, using those two together is a great combination. Now, what you want to avoid and what a lot of people get into trouble with, and this is where nasal sprays get a bad name, is using Afrin. Afrin, unfortunately, is addictive, and it causes rebound congestion. So when someone uses Afrin, they feel really good because it works faster than any of them, okay? And you spray that in your nose and you think, wow, I feel really good. I can breathe, everything feels better. And then unfortunately, when it wears off, you're more congested than you were before. So what do? You grab another shot of Afrin, okay? And that's why it says on there, do not use more than 2 days without consulting your doctor, because they know it's addictive. There's even a sitcom, a couple of them where they joke on that. King of Queens has one that they joke on the guy's addicted to Afrin. He's trying to pay kids to go buy it for him because the pharmacist told him he can't have it. His wife or his daughter told the pharmacist not to sell him anymore. So it's kind of funny. And it's been a long time since I've seen that, but when it came out, I thought, as a doctor, I laughed tremendously. A lot of people probably didn't get it because they don't understand that stuff is addictive. He had them hidden in cabinets all over the house and stuff, you know, what kind of like a drug addiction would be. And that's because she was trying to get him off of it. So it can be addictive. It can be a problem. And so you don't want to use Afrin long term. You want to use the nasal steroids and the topical antihistamines because they are non-addictive.
Right.
And they will work just as well if you give them time.